Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Trash Told You, December 30th, 2025, the day earlier, 2 days left in the new year, or 2 days left of, I guess it was a new year at one point, but I'll turn this music down. As you can hear, gone back to the original music, because man, what a pain in the ass. We've had this happen before, where obviously I've said this before, great service, Pawn 5, you get lots of music on there, lots of artists, lots of sound effects, that's great and all, right? We've done this before where sometimes when someone puts music on there and you purchase a license but switch over to authors or whatever it may be, it can kind of ding it and be like, oh, this is wrong. And almost every single time I have used, and because I had a couple downloads left, pay for a subscription, and I was canceling it, and a couple was like, oh, maybe I should get a new theme for Trash Told, something spruce it up for the new, end of the run here. And I enjoy that theme, but every time I use it, it gets fucking flagged, and it's such a pain. And usually I can be home and I have to go, I go to YouTube, I gotta dispute it, I gotta tell why I dispute it, I gotta prove that I've bought this, and I've done it every single time, even though it's the same song and the same channel, every single time I have to do this. So I've just stopped, and I'm gonna just use the regular, just StreamYard generic rock and roll music, and that's what we're gonna do. And that's what it is. Because I got, because it's fine now when I'm here and I get it. What's gonna happen one time is I'm gonna, be gone, and then I can't edit, and then there goes all the monetization, everything like that. So just a great time. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are here a day early. This is why, as always, I did say, I have said, join the Patreon. Now, as usual, there's tons of tiers, right? There is the Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4 gets you a multitude of exclusive episodes, early episodes. Each tier has its own set. If you become a producer, you get to pick your own movie for us to retrospective, and then you get every single episode we've done. It's going to be over 30 next year, so it's going to be a big time, because on the movie preview, we're going to announce, I'll just tease it, a new retro. So look out for in a couple weeks from now, we're going to announce a new retro that's happening that we did not have planned, but I thought, you know what, this is the time to do. We got a multitude of reasons. Can you guess what it is? I don't know, but let me take my starting student banner. But there is, of course, whether none of that content interests you, which, give it a shot. At some point, we'll try to run a sale or run like a trial, like get a week for free or something like that. But give it a shot. I think you'll find something on there. There's lots of great stuff. We work hard there. Lots of fun stuff that's all behind the paywall. And as usual, that stuff supports the show. The reason I can do multiple Trash Told Yous, the reason we can do side quests, Weekly Geek, other than just doing like the reviews and a regular GV episode, it's because of each and every one of you that listen, of course, here, but also on Patreon, because that money goes right to us, where, Spreaker goes up and down. But for whatever reason, if you don't want to support us, that's okay. Thanks for the download or the watch. Or you don't have the funds right now, that's okay too. Times are tough, right? You can just subscribe on the free tier. You don't have to become a paid patron or anything like that. And the free tier, we drop announcements, schedule, stuff like that. Sometimes a little behind the scenes stuff, but more on the paid tiers, which I've said this before, in the new year, maybe on New Year's Eve I'll do, or New Year's Day, but I'm going to get better to showing some of our behind the scenes on the film, just photos of filming day, stuff like that. Again, our newest film isn't going to be out till late next year. Don't have an exact date for that yet, but yeah, I'm going to try and be better on that. That's on me. But so join there. And that's where I did announce that, hey, side quest and Trash Told You doing a little switch, because I forgot that Dylan was out of town, and I forgot that I'd seen on the schedule that side quest was Tuesday, but I just thought, oh, well, yeah, it's dropping the Tuesday. Oh, no, actually, no. He's recording Tuesday because he's traveling. So, okay, perfect time. Let's do this. And that kind of works, because tomorrow I got to reduce schedule at my day job. And then also I'm getting off early, and then I'm going to see Stranger Things after me and the lady go to get dinner and do some New Year's festivities. So, I will be back. My plan is, I think, to review that New Year's Eve, if not New Year's Day morning, but I think New Year's Eve. We'll see how that all goes down. But I said it already on Monday, but hopefully you guys have a good New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Hopefully you get a little time off from work. Hopefully you're doing something fun. And if not, then, just hunker down and the fun will come to you eventually. And next year is going to be fun. We're going to talk about a lot in the 2026. Obviously you guys have seen our preview, but lots of good stuff happening for the podcast. It's been a great year. This month has been our best month since 2022. That's saying something, right? Like, that's what I can just say. A big thank you. I've said this before, where we had 2021, 2022, just record breaking, 13 months in a row, every record broke, and then like a lull, and then kind of up and down. No one's ever, I don't think we haven't broken that record. I have to look. There's one, I think it's the summer of 2022. I think it's that month that Strange came out because there's other stuff too. But as I said before, it's one of those things where we hit that high and then it's kind of plateaued, or you go up and then you go down, and it's like, oh, are we never going to get back in the sphere? Obviously, the strike happened. That honestly did slow us down quite a bit because content was still coming out, but news, which honestly, like, reviews are usually our biggest episode, but news is like, I guess the best way to put it really is the reviews get the biggest downloads, but the news make the most money because people usually listen to the newscast all the way through. Where a review, some might just listen to the non-spoilers and kind of bounce, right? So, or just a little bit and bounce, or if they don't like our opinion, bounce. For news, most of the time, I think people like us covering all the topics, everything. So, news when it comes out means a lot for us, right? So that's the thing where that hurt a little bit, but it's been great to like creep up to those numbers, like get back past couple months episodes, earnings to be like that, because that helps us tremendously, because that justifies doing a lot more content, and that helps us, like I've always said before, I can take a day off work a lot easier because I go, okay, well, I'm backed by the fans and listeners here. So big thank you. This month has been great. Again, thank you to everyone that listened to that Stranger Things episode. I'll be doing the finale review, but that last one's doing really well. Could be a top 10, or we'll see. We'll see. I think the finale probably will take that spot. But yeah, today we're talking. There were some random MCU rumors I did have, but then there's more rumors about Peele. I got stuff about Jordan Peele, directed MCU movie that now seems to be smoked to that fire, right? We're going to talk about some Moon Knight stuff, maybe some Strange Academy. We're talking a little bit of the Thor trailer and the success of that, and then the Doomsday, or Doom, which came out first. And I guess I can start there, right? Just in case something drops. Nothing meaty per se has dropped, where apparently, I guess this is the thing, right? Where I guess I'm happy where it's on the thumbnail. But you know that picture that came out? It was like it wasn't a D23, but it was some Disney situation or something like that, where it was, okay, it's him like arms crossed on a banner somewhere. I can't remember what the hell it was. Maybe it was a D23 in like a different country, not North American. I don't know, right? And that was like, okay, we hope that's true, but we've also seen before, especially the ones that are in different countries, where people use like a stock poster and it's not actually like, it's not that, and you never see it again, right? But the good thing is and it's not a big deal, right? Like, it's a cool photo. Apparently there's about 3 things right now. That's what's happening with these trailers too, is so right now, obviously, talk about X-Men. That's coming next week. And as we've gotten confirmed, that's what happens is they drop on the Thursday, Friday for the theaters. Then the Tuesday, they're out for HD, right? Which is great to see, because the Thor trailer looking good. I agree with people when they've talked about the difference of the coloring and stuff. Like, that's one thing the MCU is almost, I would say, actually, yeah, almost always bad at. In the majority of their projects or films, they go, and it helps because it's an aesthetic that fits with their world, right? It feels, okay, it's all in the MCU 616 movie world, but lots of times it's very gray, right? And the colors are very muted. They still, like look at Civil War. I love Civil War. One of my favorite MCU movies. That airport scene, a lot of gray, a lot of like Captain America's blue. May as well be a gray blue, you know, like it's not great. So, and I'm not saying we have to see what happens when this movie comes out, but with just even the colors of the green popping, the orange popping, that obviously they had directed the post credit for Thunderbolts that had a good pop there. I can't remember the name of the cinematographer. I think it's someone different this go around. So looks great. And I never really looked into the Thor trailer that much. I haven't seen any of the Doom leaks. It must have been taken down quick. That's what I can say. I'll send you one right now. It's nothing crazy. Like, supposedly there's 2 of them, right? Well, I guess, okay, sorry, there's 3. That's where I was going. I was talking about this trailer. I'll talk about Thor one a little bit, but I'll send it to you, S-Bubs. But it's nothing crazy. The one Dooms leak is it's like concept art, or it's just like like, it's one of these where it's taken from a thing. I think it's supposed to be a poster or something. It's him sitting on his throne holding a sword. It looks kind of like concept arty, so I guess that could be a poster, but it was starting to get taken down places. So that's why people were like, okay, this must be the legit thing, right? So apparently this had happened where it was late last night, where there was Doom leaks and people were waiting for more. People have been talking about more. There's this picture of him on a throne with a sword. Looks cool. There is a famous cover of Doom playing chess, and on the chessboard is character pieces of Marvel characters. So instead of like a queen, a knight, a bishop, a rook, it's, you know, here's Thing, here's Iron Man, stuff like that. Apparently there is I don't know if it's come out yet, but there is like a leaked, or there's going to be a leaked, like, that's the problem, right? You never know, because I talked about this last week or the last episode, where with people and Twitter, because like we have Twitter whatever premium on just the Geek First one, so we can stream live because like we can get to different people and people watch that way. That's great, right? But lots of people are doing it, do whatever you want to, but it's for engagement farming and to get money, because obviously Twitter, if you get to a certain amount of views, certain amount of likes, and whatever, you can get money from that, right? So a lot of people do that. Oh, this Doom thing, it's crazy, and nothing more, and they let the comments go because a lot of people are gonna ask, where is he? Da, da, da. That's where it's a combo of what's really out there, what's not, and that's where even before I went live, I was waiting. But there's a lot of these people that, because I always lately now, before Tress told you, that's my new ritual. Is that's like I don't check Twitter too much in the morning. I'll check the notifications and what people share in the Discord, and then that's kind of it. And then Tress told you to do a quick sweep because you never know. And in my For You side, it was a lot of like, oh, I've seen some stuff, but this was rumored last night where we don't know what's happening, where that's supposedly the fifth trailer is going to focus on Reed and Doom, which is great, right? Because you do need something on Doom. We talked about that Marvel might hold them back, and even then we don't know how much of a focus on Doom it really be. But I think for the people that are massive Fantastic Four people, and I understand how they feel, Doom and Reed are arch enemies, right? Our rivals, and people are more excited to see, oh, Doom with Spider-Man because the Tom Holland Downey thing, right? Oh, Downey and Evans. They're kind of losing the plot of, yeah, Doom is a villain to all these characters, right? He's many times just a villain to the MCU, or sorry, the Marvel universe, right? But where it starts is with the Fantastic Four. So I guess that might mean that's been conflicting. They're apparently with the fifth trailer, but because there was a report of fourth trailer being F4 and Black Panther or Wakanda. Maybe it's just Wakanda, and then Reed's that one. Who knows, right? We'll know next week. That's what happens. These things start to come out. But the 3 Doom leaks was that one. It was him playing chess with Marvel characters, and then there was supposedly like either it was photos or footage from said Doom teaser or something to do along the lines of that, right? So, but I think the biggest thing for me, what I'm saying, because I try to get back to the point of that poster at like a D23 or Expo, whatever it may be, he looks pretty great. Now here's the thing that I've had like a semi hole up on, where at least these photos are confirming he looks like Doctor Doom, and that's great. And then obviously, hopefully, Downey keeps the mask on. Sometimes he's gonna take it off, but let's say hopefully a lot of times it's on, right? So what interests me is when we talk about James Marsden and we talk about Hugh Jackman and Doctor Doom. I'm not saying this is a wrong thing, because there is a good thing of people wanting to say, oh, I want to see my favorite in this costume for my entire life, right? Oh man, I'm looking tired. Babies were up last night in the middle of the night. I was up at what? Got back from the gym from Taylor, and then I couldn't sleep till about 1, and they're up at 2, and then up at 4. Look at those bags. Oh, brother. I need some sleep. Get some sleep. People, if you're planning to have kids, get all the sleep you can. Especially if you have me at twins, get all the sleep you can. You never know. They do good a couple weeks, sleep regression. Do good a couple weeks, sleep regression. I digress. It's great that these favorite childhood heroes have the costumes, right? Always want to see Hugh Jackman in the blue and yellow, the tan and orange, right? Great. James Marsden, leg belt, whatever, blue and yellow, chest belt, great. Doctor Doom, right? Because even the 2000s one with Julie McMahon, like, it's not too bad to me for the 2000s. It's closer than Green Goblin, and I like that one, right? But it's like, it's not too bad. Like, it looks like Doctor Doom, but it's not the superimposing Doctor Doom, right? It's a mask with a guy with a green, cape and hood. Cool. And then obviously Fan Four Stick, not the Doom we're looking for. So it's great. It looks like him. I guess I just have to see, because with Downey, we've heard mixed reports of this is a one-off or he will be back. So if he's continuing to play Doom for, let's say, the next bunch of sagas or phases, right? That's fine. But I've always thought, I thought that was going to be kind of the selling point with the new cast with some of these people. Like, hey, we're going to get Cyclops, and guess what? This go around, you're getting Cyclops in the fucking costume. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a multitude, many of different comic book costumes you can do with these characters. But I always thought for the first time to be the very comic book accurate one, they were going to leave that for their MCU cast, proper. Okay, Scott Derrickson. What the hell's his name? Let's just Barry Keoghan's playing Cyclops. Boom. James Marsden. What's the other fucking guy from First Class? They didn't have the blue and yellow. We got the blue and yellow. That's what makes us special, right? But no, they're kind of blowing their wad here for for the old timers, right? And they're gonna presumably kill or write them off and then move on. So I don't know. And again, maybe that's the idea. Maybe it's like, hey, we're going to do the comic accurate ones, like the very well known ones, because we're going to do some comic accurate stuff, but it's going to be more MCU based. It's going to be more like Ultimate X-Men or Ultimate F4 or whatever it may be, right? So, yeah, I think that it's interesting, but I guess all I can take from these leaks is that it's like, okay, cool. Doom is looking like Doctor Doom, and the trailer, I like it. That's the secret. There is no next cast. Well, right, okay. I sometimes forget what I talk about. That's what I said last episode, right? As Bubs, I said, just like I wonder if people will just want these people right back and or back, right? And there's a chance. So, and yeah, the Thor trailer, I never really watched it. I had heard he was just praying in the woods to an axe. That's great. I did like the caption, the trailer, or the Russo shared the trailer of like what puts the fear into a god. It's like, okay, that's good. Like emphasizing that. And Chris Hemsworth, when he is in, actually, I don't think he's ever really bad, but like he can be great. Like he can be fantastic. He's very underrated. The Russos have used him extremely well. In Infinity War, he was used extremely well. And I think they can do that here again, especially that's the thing. We don't know how much of time jump from Love and Thunder, but obviously people want the non-comedic Thor. But you can also say there's been some time and he has a daughter, right? That changes you. So or can change you. So that's the thing where I'm looking very forward to this. I like this. Has a lot of emotion. It was great to see in like the full color and everything like that. I'll be excited to see next week when we get the the X-Men trailer in full HD and whatnot. So it's gonna be good to see. And yeah, that's about it. We'll see if anything leaks in the mail. This we'll circle back to that, but it does seem like it's going to be in the next couple days. Who knows, because of New Year's and whatnot, but it doesn't matter. Some of these scoopers, not saying they don't have a job, but like that is their job, just to get information out there, right? So yeah, so we will see. But so this happened. So this thing, what was going to be the main topic, and the one that intrigues me the most for a multitude of reasons. Jordan Peele supposedly has met with MCU. Now, multiple scoopers are putting out that he had the meeting, right? So let's just get into as far as Jordan Peele doing an MCU movie. And then we'll get into the likelihood, the pros, the cons, everything like that, right? I would like to think that we've talked about this before. For the comic book genre, other than what they're doing now with nostalgia and bringing people back, other than what they're doing now, for it to thrive to me is to have more the Batmans, Deadpool, even Joker to an extent, right? And I'm not saying it has to be rated R, but things that are different, things that stand out. Even Superman, to a degree, I think stands out as being very comic booky, right? Where I think that's been something that a lot of people have said with Supergirl that I like the trailer, I think a lot more than other people. But I generally like comic book stuff, and most people said this looks very generic comic booky, right? Stuff we've seen before, and you go, you know what? I can't push back. I think it looks fun, and I think Millie's going to be great, so I'll enjoy it there. But I can't push back and say it doesn't look that way. If we're in a world where this deal happens and Jordan Peele directs an MCU movie, I'm not saying he needs to make fucking Get Out or Us, but it needs to have a distinct style, and it does not need to have just a little Jordan Peele flavor. It does not need to be a Gareth Edwards directing Jurassic World situation where, hey, Jordan Peele just wants a win, so come direct Doctor Strange 3, right? And that's what we'll talk about the options, where I just don't feel like a sequel would be that, and we'll get there. Because that's the thing, right? I don't think he's ever outright said no to a comic book thing, but I felt like I felt like there was a time where he kind of just, it wasn't a goal of his, or he wasn't looking for that, right? There's two things. One, things can change. You can always be in a room with somebody, whether if it is Blade and it's Mahershala Ali or Kevin Feige, and you start talking and you hit off, you go, why don't you take an actual fucking meeting? Let's like see what we could do, right? Because there could be like great directors have worked with the MCU, right? Sam Raimi, Ryan Coogler, back in the day, has skills, but like, a Joss Whedon who worked well with that style, obviously persona non grata now, but still was a bigger name with Serenity and Buffy and everything like that, as far as in the geek world. And it's something where we even saw it there, right? Where I think Avengers was a blueprint for a lot of the MCU stuff. And then Ultron was still his work, but lots of stuff got changed. And it was like, even back then when, he was around, he said like, oh, this one was a really tough task. And I felt like that was like a lot of, hey, we want to do this, and this, and this, you got to do it, right? So we've seen great directors thrive in the system. We've seen great directors stumbled in the system, right? I've always described the MCU because I know people talk about the MCU formula and how it's always the same, which for me, the most part, up until I'd say this last saga was fine because most of the time that meant, oh, it's a passing movie or a passing project. So that's great. Now, a little more iffy, and there's multitude of reasons why that's not a thing now, right? We talked about as far as the strikes and Chapek and Iger and the rushes, all that type of stuff, right? But either way, quality went down. So my point is that I need them at least to. What I was saying is the MCU is a restaurant, right? And to me, the people that come in, the directors or the writers, they always have the same set menu, but it's like, okay, you're gonna cook the stew this time. What do you put in the stew? And they put their flavoring, right? Sometimes MCU lets them put a lot of flavor, and sometimes it's like, we got to do X, Y, and Z. Like, look at Nia DaCosta, right? She's somebody that she said that they talked about a certain project, and then when she was making it, didn't feel like that was the project they talked about, right? And I don't think the good thing is she was on the what was it, the Doomsday set or Secret Wars set, whatever it is. Like she spoke that was her experience, but she didn't talk about it in like a fuck you sort of way, right? Just said that's kind of the way it can go in Hollywood, right? So, and people know that, Peele knows that, right? And that's the thing where, what Peele are we getting? Are we getting the guy that's coming in that says, hey, I have a good idea for said character, said project, and I want to do it this way. Can we work together? And MCU's like, yes, because maybe they see that writing on the wall that, okay, other than the nostalgia of big events, these movies gotta feel different, right? That's the unfortunate thing with Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts had some MCU isms, but also had a lot of differences in the main storyline being about depression and friends and helping one another. I feel like obviously MCU has done beats of that, Guardians and Endgame, but this felt very much about mental health, right? Unfortunately, wasn't the biggest hit. I don't think that is about the quality. I know many times we talk about word of mouth. I don't think it's about the quality this time. I think that was just those characters and place the MCU was. But I do think you need to make more films that stand out, that pop. Because to me, at least, if same thing, like Thunderbolts was like, what, 380 or something? Every time you're going to take a 380 of a critically and fan received well movie versus a panned movie, right? Even if you get the same amount of money, granted, that's like a fake scenario, but at least if you make a movie and it doesn't work, or like it doesn't, run off the shelf money wise, at least if it's a good movie, you can hold on to that. And that it can still be something where at least if people don't see it, they go, oh, you should have seen that. It was a good one. Or if they see it down the line, oh, I really missed out on this one. The next time this character, this director, or this arc's going on, I got to come back and watch it, right? So at least like a good bomb is better than a bad bomb, right? Or an underwhelming, whatever you want to call it. But I'd say Thunderbolts was it a bomb? I don't know. What was the budget on that thing? I'm going to say it kind of was, right? Thunderbolts budget. 180. Yeah, but then see, it says it had to get a 360 to 450 gross rate, even making it 370 a tight but potentially prop. Yeah, so I'm gonna say it underwhelmed, right? Disappointed. So there's two scenarios there, right? Where maybe we're getting Jordan Peele, who to me is a fantastic director. Get Out, very good movie. Us has some detractors, but I liked it. I think there's some issues story wise, but I had a good time with it. Nope's my favorite one of his recent work. If we can get that guy to do some in the Marvel, universe, that'd be great. And I think you could do something if you let him, could be great, of course, but if you let him, I hate the expression let him cook, but if you let him stay in his lane and do his stuff, obviously, I'm sure they're not gonna be like, you can't just kill, Captain America. Like they're gonna have some prerequisites to say, hey, you got to stay in this box, but that's what they did with Ryan Coogler, right? And Ryan Coogler, Feige said lots of those elements with Killmonger were not in there till he took over, right? And got the gig. So, and that made that movie better. So that's all you need to do is here's the box. How can I work within it, right? Which still should be the way anyways, right? So there's two minds where that's the pitch. That's the idea. I want to come in and do this. Let's fucking go. Or, and I don't think this is it. I really don't with the work he's done everything, but there is a version where it is, like I said, the Gareth Edwards thing, where it is, hey, Nope came out critically well received. Like I said, a good bomb versus bad bomb. Maybe not a bomb, but critically well received. But as a movie, as far as money wise, underwhelmed. Right? Him, which he just wrote and produced, so obviously it's not as like a complete blight on his record, but still enough where that was the big monkey paw production this year that come out, and that disappointed critically and financially. And then they also didn't get Weapons, which, the rumor was Jordan Peele fired some people on his team, which granted that kind of makes sense because Weapons was a massive hit. But it just is like between Nope and him and Weapons, it feels like Jordan Peele's taking a lot of hits, right? He's not I'm not going to say it's been like the M. Night Shyamalan thing where, the rose just felt the bloom really fast, or the bloom just felt the rose, right? Very fast there because of some stuff. But I think it's more minor reason for that, where still he made a fantastic, great horror film. He won an Oscar. Like, he's still set. It's not in the sense of that where, you got to worry, right? He could always still go and direct something on a smaller budget, but we don't know sometimes. It literally, did he write him? I thought he only produced it too. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Chris Balgo, if you're listening, you told me he wrote it too, so I took Chris's word. Let me see, Jordan Peele, because I know he produced it. If he didn't write it, at least that's a little less on him too. Let's take a look here. Let's confirm. Chris, S. Bubs might be checking you here. Let's see. Writer. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, no, he only wrote Window and Why. Okay, yeah, so he didn't write that. He wrote the screenplay on Candyman. Okay. And then I guess he's a writer on OD. So, okay, there you go. He didn't write him, which, thank God. I would have thought it would have at least been a story by, because that just didn't feel like a Jordan Peele effort in that stuff, as far as the quality of it. So, not as big as Blight, but it's still like on the downturn, right? Still not like he's probably going to get just any budget he wants now based on some of these films. So is that the motivation where I'm just going to go direct a big character and get a big hit and make a bunch of money and people get my name out there again, and then I'm back to making original stuff? And I'm not saying that's a wrong thing. Sure, go do that, right? Directors do that all the time. But that's where it's just a question of, okay, which one are we going to get? And I'm hoping it's obviously the former of I got a big vision. And the reason what's interesting is, so this was, I think it was last year, sometime in 2024, where there was reports that he had met with Marvel and they talked about, some scoopers just said they met, and then some scoopers did say they met and talked about X-Men, right? And that's where I bring up here, because I've seen a bunch of people, rightly so, when they're talking about, okay, what would he direct, right? And I guess I didn't even answer my question, is it a good idea? Again, I guess I can't answer that. The only way I could answer that is if I know that pitch, like I talked about. What is the method? What's the good idea? If it's just to make a paycheck, then no, it's not a good idea. And even then, do I think that's the other thing? Let's say it's the reverse, where he still wants to make a great film, something a little different. Do I think he's going to get what he wants with Marvel? I think so. I think because I think the name, and I talked about this in the Discord, but if we see something like Jordan Peele's X-Men or X-Men directed by Jordan Peele, I think that has a bit of cachet. So I think Peele's name still is cachet if you add that to the right character. So I think they would want to try to bend as much as they could to make it work. So is it a good idea? Yeah, sure. I love Marvel. I love Jordan Peele. Let's see what they could do. If it's a situation where it is, hey, I'm hoping just to get out of the rut and trying to get another hit under my belt, I would say just make another low budget horror movie. Like Get Out was very cheap, great concept, great written script, and then do it, right? Because there was that thing where he had wrote a movie or was writing a movie, and it's been delayed. It was delayed once a full year, and then was delayed to being off the schedule. So I don't know what the deal that is. It could be a production thing, could be just not inspired by that certain script, having issues, whatever it may be. That's the thing where I would say I would personally try to go that route and just see if you could do it by yourself, and then you could always go the Marvel route after. But if not, then that's what he's doing, right? So now, as far as what he wants to direct, right, or what he could direct, and that's where the rumor of him meeting X-Men, and then people tell, well, Jake Schreier, he's already on there. Jake Schreier, he's director, did Thunderbolts. They've already announced that. I know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to tell you. We were supposed to get Doomsday or Avengers already this year, right? I think it was at least Kang Dynasty, maybe even Secret Wars. Maybe it was just, oh no, we were supposed to get them both right in the same year, right? And then even then when they got delayed, we were still supposed to get Kang, and that changed, right? A lot of things have changed and can change. So to me, when we live in a world where Scott Derrickson was working on a direct sequel to Doctor Strange, and he got the kibosh and he went off and did somewhere else and they got Sam Raimi, you don't think they could go, hey, Jake, we're going to go with Jordan Peele for whatever reason. Maybe they got the script or they got Jake's take and they go, you know what, it doesn't align anymore. Look at fucking Dustin Daniel Cretton. He was directing the Avengers movies, and then he's directing Shang-Chi 2, and now he's directing Spider-Man, and the rumors he's doing the trilogy for Spider-Man. What's going on with Shang-Chi? Why didn't he do Avengers? Not saying a positive, negative way. I'm just saying These things change all the time. So when people throw it up, like, well, X-Men already's got a director. Sure. But in my opinion, as much as I like Thunderbolts, I think any studio would probably pivot. Even if they said, Jake, like, hey, we like your idea, like your script, maybe down the line you work on this. Same thing like they did with fucking Dustin. Hey, it's not working out, whatever reason, whether it's him or what the plan was, what happened with Kang, like whatever reason happened, you doing Avengers Kang Dynasty or this Avengers movie is probably not the route to go. What else do you want? They could literally do that. They could say, hey, Jake, we got Jordan Peele. You can understand the name, the brand, Monkey Paw, the Oscar. We're going to go with him for X-Men. We're going to let his team do a passover, and a lot of things are going to change. We just kind of like the vibe that's going on here. But what else do you want to do, right? Same thing with fucking John Watts that happened too, right? When Sony had the Fallout, they gave him F4, and then he left it. So people using X-Men always got a director. That doesn't fucking matter at all. It's funny when I see sometimes these people share these points. Like, you just gotta, unless you're new or very young, you just gotta think about it for a second. And don't get me wrong, we all have those moments, right? We all have those moments where we don't bypass something, or we bypass something. Oh, dang, if I would have given it a second thought, I would have realized X, Y, and Z, right? But this happens all the time in Hollywood, but it's happened already multiple times in the MCU. So it's not like a big deal if that were to happen. Like, it sure could be a big deal, but it's not like uncharted territory, right? So like him doing X-Men, I always thought that would be perfect, because I don't know what they would do. And this ties into the comic stuff, where I know before he talked about that he primarily wants his main characters to be black because he's seen a lot of white stories and he wants to tell stories of people that, of his culture, right? And that's fine with me. Like, whether there's a character you could race swap or a black X-Men, sure, do that. I also just think with some of the, more so with Get Out and Us, I don't think Nope really has that, but with the commentary those movies provide, the X-Men is my favorite Marvel comic property. It's my number 2. Behind Batman's Batman, then X-Men. I love what those characters represent. I love that they can really speak to anybody, right? Whether you have race issues, gender issues, sexual issues, disability issues, or even just like if you're a kid that's picked on in school, the X-Men are there for you. They put their hand out to people that are different and need the help, right? And I think Jordan Peele, and don't get me wrong, Drake Schreier too, like, same thing. Like, when I saw Thunderbolts, I look at that and I go, okay, I think he could do that. I think there's some negative Thunderbolts where I don't know about the whole team dynamic, because I think in Thunderbolts a couple members don't get much shine, but at the same point I can say, hey, Jordan Peele, I've loved a lot of his stuff, but I've never seen him do a massive ensemble like that, right? And I guess maybe you just have the team as 5, and that's similar to Us, right, where you're dealing with 4 to 5 characters, so you could get there, right? But that's where it's kind of like a couple weeks ago when we talked about Emma Stone versus ScarJo. ScarJo can be great. I've said this before. ScarJo could have won a fucking Oscar for being a voice on a phone. Right director, right script, right project. She can be one of the best out there. Emma Stone, most of the time, is just the best. Like currently right now, right? Just whatever she does, she's just the best, right? So that's where it's like, as much as I love ScarJo, if you were to ask me, hey, Travis, who are we going to go for? Money's no issue. You're going to go with Stone, right? The same thing here with the Drake versus Peele. And it's just because I have more game tape on Peele. And I think for me, Nope was a phenomenal movie. And Get Out for me is not my favorite of his. I don't have it as like a perfect score, but it broke boundaries, right? Got nominated, won an Oscar. It had a cultural impact. So it's hard not to say Jordan Peele's X-Men, that has a fucking big ring to it. Like that you see that on a poster, and man, that's some chills going on, right? And some good casting possibly, from his other franchises or movies, not franchise, other movies we could see. And then the other one is Blade. That's the one where I know people have thrown it out there, and I get it. I feel like people have thrown that out for the longest time, like Blade. It just feels too obvious to me, as far as we're doing a horror movie and it has a black lead. And I feel like that's why people jump to it. Now, not saying he could not make a great Blade movie. I think the issue with Blade, we've talked about this before, or we talked about this a long time ago when I was hosting Marvel Alliance. There was reports that Mahershala Ali looked at Blade and said, oh, I want this to be like my Black Panther. And that's great and all, but there's times where I've been like, you know what? I would push back, and I don't know if Blade is that character. I think there's things you can do, but I think Blade, you're looking for a good time hunting vampires and having some fun with Blade, right? And I think Wesley Snipes, did a great job of that, and I think Mahershala Ali could do a great to even better job of that. So I guess it just depends what it is. I think that's everyone's dream pick of like, oh, it's gonna be Blade, it's gonna be Blade. And maybe do you announce that I'm not excited? Of course, because I think if Peele's on it, there's a better chance of happening. I think him and Ali together could work really well. Like that could be something great. And maybe they do get to the point where, okay, we made it like what we talked about was as far as can you get it to elevate the genre as far as a vampire flick? You could. The other thing was that I just don't, and it's not just because it's another movie with black vampires, but it's just like I just feel like as another famous horror director, currently genre director, after Sinners, do you want to tackle that? Do you like that's to me the worry is you could get the situation where everyone compares you to Sinners, and obviously we've heard that Blade's no longer going to be in the past. That's at one point was set in a different era, all this type of stuff, right? But like as another director, do you think you have a take that's like as strong as that? Could I personally wouldn't want to. That not right now. Maybe in a few years, sure, but not right now. And then that's where it comes down to okay. So if it's not Strange, it's not Blade. Am I? And I really don't know. I would just say to be easy, I would just say it's gonna be Blade. It's gonna be Blade. Ali being on the project helps, sure. I just don't. I'm not fully sold, but I'm not fully sold on anything else though, right? Because I guess honestly, I guess I would say I'm more fully sold on X-Men and just say that like the Jake Schreier thing goes away, right? Because I think there's that, and then there's Blade, and then what else we got? Let's say Thor survives. I don't think it's gonna be a Thor 5, right? I don't see that, and I really don't see him doing a sequel to any of the characters. It's not a real possibility. I just kind of thought he would want to pave the road, even if it was Blade, and then to leave and then like produce it or EP it after like a Blade 2 or 3. I guess there's Midnight Suns, but I just at least with, and obviously those are freaks too, but at least with X-Men being ensemble, I can see the pitch and I can see the route of Jordan Peele doing X-Men. With Midnight Suns and what I think that movie would be and maybe should be, I don't see that, but maybe you could. Maybe it's like, hey, we want to do a big supernatural, more horror-based crossover team. We think you're the guy to do it, Jordan. And he goes, yeah, sure. And then that way he gets a maybe unlimited budget, that type of stuff. So I guess there's a possibility of that, because same thing, that title slaps too as far as Jordan Peele's Midnight Suns. Maybe it's like, hey, Midnight Suns not that well known. We're gonna bring characters well known, like eventually Blade, Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's not Avengers. And it's not the main tier people, right? No, it doesn't have multiple movies built up. So that's the thing where it's like, okay, I guess that could be it. I'm gonna take a little drink here. Didn't forget the water today, folks. I guess that could be it. It wouldn't shock me. And then yeah, like Strange 3, I really don't see that. Raimi made sense, but I don't see that. Like, could you be cooking another Captain America for Sam Wilson? Sure, but I don't see that with the box office. Thunderbolts, I don't think's happening too. Like, I don't think that's happening. I don't think Shang-Chi 2 is happening. So unless it's a character we don't know about, it's really tricky, and that's where it's like, do I think this is going to happen? More people are talking about it. So I think it is going to happen. And I'm just kind of surprised because I knew we had those reports last year, but I honestly didn't believe them. I thought, oh, that'd be great. But I kind of thought like, oh, that'd be two ships passing the night. They would talk about it and go, you know what? Yeah, this isn't going to work. Like, you won't budge on this. I won't budge on that. Let's just be happy. Maybe I'll produce some direct-to-TV show one day, call it 85, So we'll see. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else right now that's like on the market. I saw people, which like granted would be tons of fun. I saw people like doing the fantasy booking. Like, well, if Marvel can find like a Hulk film, Immortal Hulk, it's like, yeah, I could see that. Like there could be some fun stuff there. And I actually think he could do something. He could do something of note with obviously it's body horror, but I think it's also more mental exhaustion as well with the Hulk, right? Like I think there's lots of things you could do with that character in the Immortal Hulk way, in a horror movie way. Are they going to do that? Can they even do that? Again, we don't even know, right? So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. We'll see what the announcement could be. Some people said, oh, we're gonna hear something soon. Also didn't hear something that day of. I'm for it depending on the context and the character. So we will see. Let me take a look here. I'm going to bring up this thread here. I didn't share it to myself. I shared it a couple days ago. So we're talking about some of the Moon Knight stuff. So this comes from a C tier. This is so take it with a grain of salt. This guy's gotten some things right. And I think it's because like the source is somebody that's like may or may not have worked at Marvel or does work at Marvel. Because of course they're using like a profile with a picture that's nobody, a name that's nobody. I think it's like Charlie Cox. Let me find it here. Oh, I should have had it before. I thought I had it in my saved DMs, but I did not. So that's bad. Okay, so here we go. So they labeled this thread the misadventure, the marvelous misadventures of Moon Knight sequel, and how they tried or are trying to keep Oscar Isaac on board. Obviously, if people don't know, there is reviews of it. Moon Knight, one of my favorite comic book characters, especially the Jeff Lemire run. Just incredible stuff. The show, to me, is not a bad show, not a failing show, but incredibly disappointing. I think there's many aspects that they missed the boat on. But obviously, at that time, I think it was behind Loki. Well, maybe it's not, but I think it was one of the Disney Plus ones that still did good. And that was surprising, right? Because a lot of the newer characters have been iffy, right? But Moon Knight was hanging up there with the Lokis, the Captain Americas, or Falcon Winter Soldier, or whatever, right? So, but that came out. And, I'd say mixed reception. Some people really like it. Some people like me that are very mad on it. But I think multiple things with the costume people really liked. And I think also Oscar Isaac, who I thought was a perfect casting. And I fan cast that to shit. And I got that right. What's been going on? So this person had put out that apparently Marvel's been trying to do a lot of things with Moon Knight and Oscar Isaac. And it's not working for a multitude of reasons. And the future of Moon Knight and Oscar Isaac and the MCU is kind of like in lieu of, which like that's why it's like to me it's not like a crazy thing. One, you could just obviously just make this up, but it's like it's not a crazy thing because to have this long and no follow up, and he's not on any of the crossovers. It's like, yeah, kind of smoke there's fire, right? But here's some tidbits of things they've tried the past little bit. In season two, and participation in movies were promised. Oh, sorry. Season 2 and participation in movies were promised, but Disney Plus model didn't work out, so Marvel postponed everything and eventually changed TV production after the strikes. Isaac got bored to the point of considered quitting the role. That to me also makes sense too, as we talked about a multitude of things, not Netflix, but we've said before that Disney Plus, all these streaming services that went all in, it was a great idea when they launched them, and it was a great idea during COVID, because obviously during COVID, no movie theaters is the only way to get stuff out. But then once the world got back to regular and people weren't really like needing the streaming services to get all their content, like obviously they do, but I think they whittled down to the ones they view the most important. I think Disney Plus lost a lot of people, and also I don't think a lot of the shows warranted people sticking around. I don't think a lot of people warranted like, oh, I gotta subscribe to Disney Plus. So, that's something there. Let's see here. So continue. And Quentin, sure, like I don't know, maybe it's more like his schedule, like he would just be like, hey, you guys plan without me, I don't really want to do this if he wasn't contracted, right? So we'll see. Marvel got scared along with a shitload of money proposed for various scenarios of Moon Knight inclusion as soon as possible before the multiverse saga ends. Here are some things they pitched. Moon Knight off screen joins Yelena and Bucky. New Avengers and Avengers Doomsday, not the case anymore, as you might notice. I that's funny because I think like fucking Grace Ranoff put this out a couple of weeks ago or like a couple months ago, and they were talking when she was talking about Dustin's script, and I guess like in his Avengers script, he really wanted to use the Hulks and Moon Knight. Both Hulks were in there. And it doesn't seem like Hulks are in this movie, and Moon Knight was in there. So it's kind of funny that was the idea. I never liked that idea. I don't like the idea of, I know he's been an Avenger before, but I don't love the idea of Moon Knight being an Avenger. I think you need to establish him way more being alone, and then if anything, Midnight's son. So, and even then, I don't like him being on the Avengers. To do it off screen makes even less sense. It's like, how did you get this guy, this Egyptian god with multi-personality, to be on the team? Think we need a project for that, at least us hardcore fans, right? Or people might just go, oh, who's this guy, and have no interest, kind of like what happened with the Marvels, right? People didn't have interest in that. So let's see, guest starring in Born Again, exploration of Jake Lockley persona, a little subplot leading a solo project with the prospect of Moon Knight appearing on possible street level crossovers. That's where he should be. I grew up in that era. Obviously Jeff Lemire's run was different, but I grew up in the era where he was, because I think he became a West Coast Avenger. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I could be wrong, but I grew up in the era where he was a street level character with Daredevil, with Luke Cage, with Spider Man, and that's the way I prefer it. Obviously, I know people make Batman comparisons, but the characters are nothing alike as far as from a mental standpoint. And I loved having that fucking crazy guy out there on the streets doing stuff. So that'd be great. And Jake Lockley, like so far for the ideas, they introduced at the end of Moon Knight and like exploring that in Daredevil's the perfect setting of this taxi driver that's like, might be a little off his kilter. That'd be phenomenal. So that's where I'd love it. I can understand why if the numbers did really well and you have Oscar Isaac, who, it's like, a movie star, Star Wars, Frankenstein, other stuff, might say, hey, that he's too big for that. I can kind of get that, but to me, it's just then you raise the stock of the other shows, right? Instead of season 2, a feature film in the horror genre that sets up Midnight Suns in Phase 7 as a starting point of supernatural arc, it was either a team up with Blade or a rumble with Werewolf by Night. So, and what did they say? I mean, this comes later on, but I don't know why they haven't tried this yet. Now, I know, granted, I answered my own question, but just walk with me. Because I was going to say, why don't they do a Moon Knight movie or a Punisher movie? And you go, well, Punisher, I'd say less. So, but still, Punisher, Moon Knight. Travis, you just said the Marvels. Monica Rambeau, Miss Marvel. They were introduced in Disney Plus. That movie bombed. Thunderbolts didn't do well. A lot of Disney Plus characters. Why would you do that after you just say that? My whole thing is low production budget. Now, I don't know with Moon Knight and everything. I wish you could just do a Moon Knight street level character one and say, we're making this for 40 to 50 million and that's it. Because I still feel like a Marvel movie can clear 100 million pretty easily, especially if you promote it well enough. You got some other stars. And then if it has good word of mouth, like even then, let's say, imagine you made a Moon Knight movie for $50 million and it made what Thunderbolts did, made it for 380 or got 380. You're fucking laughing now, right? So to me, even him with Werewolf by Night, like I could kind of see that. I think the Blade thing starts to up the budget, but that's where for me, I don't know how long it is or what the idea. Maybe they feel it's not worthy enough, but and maybe they don't have the time. But I think they're kind of missing the boat on making Punisher a movie. Make that thing. I don't know how much it costs. Make it a 20 to 30 million movie, put in theaters. You'll make your money back. I think people would go out to see that. Like with some of the movies that now are making money, like if you get a good enough campaign, I think John Bernthald's big enough star. He's building. I think you could make it at a low budget successful, right? So this idea I also like. I want them to do more low budget stuff. To me, that's another thing as far as we talk about Jordan Peele. Not only do I want them to, hey, let's give more directors a chance to put more of their flavor on it so these films can have some identity, right? I just talked about this last week with the Batman Returns, with Batman Returns. At the time when that came out, and a few years later, it's like, oh, even during the Nolan era, it's like, oh, that's too Tim Burton-y. It's too gothic. It's too emo. Penguins and missiles on the head. But now when I watch it, and that's also because I've gotten so many Batman movies, so I'm in a better place to say that. But it's like, I like having this fucking weirdo Batman movie that's purely Tim Burton, and it feels like Tim Burton, right? I do miss that, right? Or Spider-Man Sam Raimi, I do miss that. So that's where it's like, for me, if it is, hey, that's two ways to do it, is make someone put their big stamp on it quality-wise, or let's make these little smaller budgets so we don't have to worry about if it's not breaking $1 billion, we're considered a disappointment, right? Midnight Suns are still planned and presumably will adapt the Damnation event with Mephisto being a main villain. Both pitches of Moon Knight and Daredevil Born Again and the Soul movie will lay the groundwork for that basic premise and confrontation with Mephisto. Sure, that makes sense. I'm not sure if I needed Mephisto, the devil, to start being in Daredevil, but I guess there's some tie there, sure. And even then, Mephisto being Ironheart was not something I had on my bingo card, so they could have made it work, right? Moon Knight and Born Again was supposed to fight a cult that worshipped Mephisto, but got involved in Kingpin's hunt for vigilantes. Later, somehow affect the status of dead or alive character in the finale. Okay. Then plans changed. Blade got some movement in production with the possible release of May 2027. So Marvel proposed a Moon Knight appearance in the movie instead of a solo film with Blade in it, which to me that also makes sense as far as supporting character, making him a bigger cameo role. If you want to start greasing those wheels, yeah, Blade movie with Moon Knight, sure, that happens. In the wake of the Jimmy Kimmel situation, Oscar Isaac expressed interest in not working with Disney while going on the Trump administration. That created another rift in the Moon Knight situation. Although on some conventions, Isaac wasn't a definitive on the question of portraying Moon Knight in the future, but Marvel had other options on how to keep the actor in the franchise, and they plan to do that with Beyond the Spider-Verse, Oscar Isaac, yeah, voiced them. And Sony were eager to tie up the movie with Secret Wars or any other Spider-Man related media, including live action appearance of Miguel in the Avengers movies, which, sure, that'd be tons of fun. I think Secret Wars, you could do that. I think Secret Wars, I'm fine if there is a segment or a act that is like very nostalgic heavy, very Easter egg heavy. That's what I don't want the whole movie to be when I see these previews, but I'd be fine with that. But as of current data so far, nothing is certain about the future of Moon Knight. The only pitch is that definitely the motion of Midnight Suns, but even then, it's planned for like 2029, 2030, which is still a long road ahead. And then someone did ask, will this eventually lead into a recast, in your opinion? It says, depends on whether they regulated things with the actor and if he indeed appears in one of those other projects prior to Secret Wars, or if they did with Midnight Suns in development. Oscar will remain Moon Knight in the MCU. So they seem to think that way. Yeah, it's tough. It's there's probably just so much stuff going on that it's gonna be. I never read it, right? And because like I'm sure there's a bunch of like interesting stuff. Because I got a little time here. Someone says Alex Julie James says, do you think Cyclops will die? Yes, he'll die. It's over for him. I don't know in Doomsday if it's over for him, but it will be over for him, and he's a goner. And even if it's not in Doomsday, it will be in Secret Wars. I would be very disappointed in either Doomsday or Secret Wars if we didn't get a Hugh Jackman, James Marsden back together moment. To me, that's a fun, dynamic, fun rivalry. I don't know. To me, and it's not a layup because I thought they really missed the boat. Everybody. And I think there's like a deleted scene, somewhat of it, but like to me, they missed the boat of there's no Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe scene in No Way Home. Like that to me is like a big missed layup. Like that's like an easy one. And that happens all the time, right? Like look at Last Jedi. That scene, and I'm starting to lose my voice, so I'm probably going to cut this. I know I had that Doctor Strange topic. I'm going to cut that because my voice is starting to go. So I've had like a head cold past a little bit, and it like keeps coming and going. Luckily, I've never felt too bad, and I didn't even feel like a sore throat or anything like that today, but hopefully it's just like the last of it, or I'm getting worse. I don't know. So we'll find out. So I'll cut here after this little rant here. But when Luke Skywalker goes to fight Kylo Ren and he walked by C-3PO, in the script, they never interacted. And Mark Hamill goes to Ryan Johnson, like, well, I knew this droid my whole life. Like, wouldn't I acknowledge him when I say something? And like, oh, like, what do you mean? Like, they kind of talk about like, and he laid out his case, like, why Luke Skywalker would acknowledge C-3PO. And like, yeah, I guess so. We should do it, right? And obviously, I think with the time crunch of No Way Home, that's probably what happened. And I know there is a scene, though, and maybe they just didn't finish it. The fact that Toby and Willem Dafoe, who, again, Blade kicked it off a little bit. X-Men really jump-started it, but what put Marvel into full swing was fucking Spider-Man, and that was Sam Raimi, that was Kirsten Dunst, but that was Dafoe and Maguire, right? And we'll talk about it another time because there's a big rumor going around of Maguire and Jackman and a scene they could be having, which, again, I'm just like, we're hearing these rumors. I know it's going to happen, but like, I saw some posts on that thing like, why do people care about these non-existing characters interacting? You know, because obviously Dafoe and Peter, I want to see interact because they have a history. Jackman and Marsden, they got a history. To me, Maguire and Jackman, they're the founding fathers of the MCU from a star standpoint, right? They became so synonymous with those characters and the brand. To me, that is a monumental moment. I've said before, you could not release a teaser, trailer, anything, but he released a poster that says Avengers subtitle, Hugh Jackman, Toby. It's $1 billion movie instantly. There's so many people that were my age as a kid growing up that just wanted to see the universe that people have now. That's going to happen. So for me, I'd love to have James and Hugh Jackman have a scene together. I think there's a chance that it's like No Way Home or it's like Force Awakens where we don't get to see them back together. Let's see. They can't kill Cyclops. It'd be a big mistake after all. Sorry, I screwed up. They can't kill Cyclops off. Would be a big mistake after all the teaser of him all just to die. Oh, they've done it before, right? They previewed Xavier in Multiverse Madness. They killed him off, right? Like a bunch of people are gonna die. And again, like he could be back in Secret Wars, he'd be back down the line. Doesn't really matter. They can kill anybody off and it's over, right? They must have Jean Grey. I don't think Jean Grey's a must. That she's a want for me, absolutely. But they could easily in that teaser where he falls to his knees and takes the optic blast, they could easily say, "Oh yeah, Doom killed Jean," and that's why he's so pissed, right? Like easy done. Like I don't want that. I have a child. Like Jean's her middle name because of Jean Grey. Love that character. Favorite X-Men after Wolverine. Well, sorry. Wolverine, Gambit, then Jean. Sorry. I do love Gambit. I do love some Remy LeBeau. But they can easily not have her there, right? That's the thing where it comes down to time, money, and contracts, and they don't have to do that, right? So yeah, that's it for me today. I'm just doing a quick look just to see if there's anything out there, but I don't think any of those big leaks or anything has happened. So we'll see. Maybe next week we'll talk about it. I will be excited once these trailers are out kind of a bit more publicly, and then we'll talk about the boys on other podcasts and everything like that. So yeah, probably the movie preview. So yeah, that's everything. I guess unless something massive breaks tomorrow, this is the last newscast for Travis Told You. Big thank you that everyone's listened to every episode that's done this year, that's been with me live, that's listened to multiple episodes in a week. I really appreciate it. As I said before, maybe not, I think probably next week the survey will go out. We'll get that done. And let me know, what do you think about the future of Travis Told You? Should I keep doing this? What about the format? Other things, let me know. Tell me how much you listen. And I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a good new year. I'll be back tomorrow, at least on Sugar Things finale, which will be interesting. And yeah, I promise you, it'll not be boring. Take care, everybody.